Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Show. I'm your host, Muhammad Siddique. On this episode, we have a very special guest, Chuck Bowser, and he is the host of Let's Talk Cabling. So please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Chuck Bowser. Chuck, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today. I hope everybody enjoys our beautiful sunny weather here in Central Florida. I'm actually eating my lunch. So it's a pleasure to be here though.
Oh, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Let's get started with this. Chuck, where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to get started with the podcast Let's Talk Cabling?
To start the podcast, I saw it as a need, a need in our industry. And I'm a trainer by trade anyway, so I'm already training people. And so a lot of people were asking me questions, and I had to tailor my questions to my manufacturer that I work for. But some of the questions, so I said I need an avenue where I can talk about everything in our industry, whether it's fire stopping or cabling or business management. I got a great question. How do you make good business decisions? So I actually have a coming on help answer that for me. There was no real person, just a bunch of people that helped form that idea with me to get that show going. And I've had a lot of mentors through my years, both business mentors and spiritual mentors. And of course, my wife, she's been the biggest support of this whole venture.
And you're lucky if your wife is supporting you. What you do, you are the lucky man. I'm telling you right now. So, okay, wonderful. So in a cabling world, in the Let's Talk Cabling, what are the top three mistakes people do when they do this in that business?
Well, I can certainly dive in deep and wax philosophical about all kinds of technical stuff, but realistically, I think the biggest thing is number one, procrastination.
Yeah.
Right? Don't procrastinate. Learn that skill now. Learn that, go to college right now. Do yourself make right. I made that mistake. Learn from Chuck's mistake, right? Because I didn't go to college until I was in my mid-30s. I didn't get my certifications. Had I gotten that when I was 20, I would be a lot further along in my career. So that's my number one. I tell that to everybody. Do not procrastinate. Number two, learn more. When you think you know enough, learn more. Here's the funny thing about learning. When you don't know anything, you think you know everything. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. It becomes kind of almost addictive. And then the third thing is, and this really applies to my industry, not adopting new technologies. Again, as an instructor, I'm going around teaching people, and we have a sign-in sheet that you have to do on the computer. You would be surprised. We're in the communications industry. We deal with computers. How many people in our industry don't even know the home row on the computer, and they're sitting there typing their name one finger at a time?
Yeah.
Adopt technology. It's here. We need to get on board with it, and you really need to apply it. If you want to be successful, if you just want status quo, you just want to earn a paycheck, fine, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to be successful, you need to change. You need to think outside the box. And I appreciate you inviting me today, because I actually started listening to some of your podcasts after you invited. I really, really like the stuff that you're putting out. I'm subscribing to it now. So
Thank you. Finally, I got the first subscriber. No, thank you, Chuck. And I appreciate that. Like, do it now. So keep learning. Always be curious mind. That's what you're, saying.
Yep.
So let me ask you. Let's get your wisdom out from you. So one was the mistakes. The other one is your success secrets in your business life.
Right.
What are the top three success secrets you have?
The top three, and these are actually the pillars of my show. The top three are educate, encourage, and enrich, right? And you got to apply this. Those three things are holding up the platform of your career, right? So educate, again, if you're thinking about college or you're thinking about trade school, do it. Go in, and don't go in just to get a grade. Go in with the knowledge that, hey, the more I learn, the better this is going to impact my career, right? And then the second pillar is encourage. Now, encourage comes in many forms. It comes from, training people. It comes from just giving people kind words. I have found as a trainer, because I've only been a trainer for the last 15 years of my career, the rest of my 40 years in this industry was actually an installer. When you encourage people, when you train people, number one, it makes you feel good because you're helping somebody else be better. But two, it reinforces that knowledge in your brain, and you're making your industry, whatever industry it is. It doesn't have to be the ICT industry. It could be your industry. It could be the banking industry. It could be real estate, right? When you encourage somebody, you train somebody, it makes you better and it makes that industry better. And then the last one is actually enrich. And you do that by, when you do the encourage and the education, you're enriching their life by helping them make more money, make them feel better about themselves, and you're leaving a better impact on the whole industry as a whole.
Chuck, when everybody does this one, we won't have anybody complaining in their life.
Complaining is like a rocking chair, right? It just
Yeah.
takes up time and motion. You don't accomplish anything by complaining.
Yeah. And then, however, then we will be united as we could be on everything almost. We can disagree
Absolutely.
with the ideas. That's okay, but we won't be doing anything crazy on those disagreements. So, let's talk about your podcast. Let's talk cabling. Who is your ideal guest for your podcast?
My ideal guest is somebody who works in the ICT industry or is somehow connected to it, right? So by that I mean cable installers, project managers, estimators, business owners, but there's also computer people who put in servers and hubs and stuff like that, and they need to understand the physical layer. That's what they call the cabling layer, and that's why I said even the majority of our stuff is technical. We do other stuff as well. I just finished a 6-part series on project management, and project management can help any industry, not just the ICT industry.
Yeah. In fact, most of the technical people, they are not very good in project management anyway. That's a great additional skill to have.
If you listen to my show, you'll hear me say that a couple of times, actually.
Okay, very good, very good. So, how long you have been doing this, and what level of kind of success you got in this?
I've been podcasting and making YouTube videos for 6 or 7 years. The Let's Talk Cabling podcast is literally just a couple months old. I have other channels. I have the Bowser Journal about homesteading, growing your own food and stuff like that. And we also do a podcast of that as well. But the Let's Talk Cabling, I started about, like I said, 3 or 4 months ago. And it's funny you just asked me that because we're just a small channel. We're just getting launched. But I gained 10 new subscribers just this week. So I'm at a total whopping 62 right now on my YouTube. And I just got an email literally like 15 minutes before this interview from my podcast platform that I have 1,500 downloads. And I think that's pretty good for just only being 2 months old. 1,500 downloads already.
Yeah,
so.
This is good. This is very good. So how do you see this Let's Talk Cabling in, let's say, 5 years, 10 years from now? I'm just stretching your vision,
No, great question. So I realize that even though I am an RCDD, and even though an RCDD is considered an expert in our industry, I also realize that there are no true experts, right? So if you actually, the last podcast I just did, I do every Thursday night at 6 p.m. I do an after hours live stream, and the people ask me questions. And so somebody asked me a question on the previous one about labeling data centers. Well, I can give them what the standards say about labeling the data center, but if you want the specifics, what kind of tape, what kind of environmental conditions and all that stuff, I don't know that. So I brought in what I call one of my learning council. I have people that I surrounded myself with. So if I get a question I don't know the answer to, bring them in. So my goal is to make this industry, I'm in the fall season of my career, right? My goal, my huge goal, my big priority number one is to leave this industry better than I found it. So that way the people who are coming up, new in the industry, they don't have to go through the same hardships that I did because I'm giving them the information. They don't have to go to school. I'm giving them 40 years of knowledge and experience and let's be honest, things that I've done wrong so they can learn from it and not have to make that same mistake themselves.
Oh, wonderful. You want to leave a better place,
Yep.
That's exactly. So people who are watching this live or recorded, how they can support you?
Very simple. Number one, subscribe to your podcast. That's the number one thing right there. Let's get him up. Like I said, I just discovered him last week and he's got lots of great content. So definitely do that. And then as far as supporting me, just look up our YouTube channel, look up the podcast. The easy way to find us is to fire up the old Google machine, put in hashtag CBRCDD. And the first 20, 25 responses will be all me. YouTube, podcast, everything. Just click on one of them. And if you know somebody who's in the computer industry or the cabling industry, share my stuff with them because it's free information to help make everybody better.
Wonderful, wonderful. I learned a lot, and I appreciate everything you shared with us on this one. I'm going to take a risk and ask this one question, which
Yep.
I do it with every guest. And here you go. What would you say to your best friend about a growth hacking show when I'm not there?
I would tell them, why aren't you subscribed yet? If you're not, you should be. Because like I said, it's one of those late things in life that I found, and I'm glad that I came across his path. And you need to be listening to this guy. He's got lots of great advice. That would be my opinion to them.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. As we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word, Chuck?
As a final word, the motto for Let's Cabling.com, or Let's Talk Cabling.com. Woo, got that wrong. Is we're connecting at the human level so we can connect the world. So my thing is reach out, even though we're in this virtual time with COVID and nobody gets to do the whole face to face. And I understand doing things virtually is not the same, but it's still keeping in contact with people. And it's actually a good thing. We've been doing Zoom calls with my family. I'm in Florida. My family's in Maryland, 900 miles away. I'm closer with my family before. So reach out, communicate with people. It's a small world we live in.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chuck Bowser, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of a Growth Hacking Show community and our entire team. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure, Siddique. I appreciate you inviting me.
This is Muhammad Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia, and all good wishes.
Thank you.